Well, hey everyone, welcome to Miro Canvas 2026 and welcome to my session. I see some people still trickling in, but I'm really excited to share with you guys today. And I'll go ahead and introduce myself. So, hey everyone again, my name is Mia Pendergast. I'm a product manager at the Home Depot and I've been a longtime fan and user of Miro. One of the reasons why Miro is one of my favorite tools as a product manager is because it lets me give a lot of really rich context to the members of my team really easily through visualizations. I like to say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So when I want to hand off something to my team members to empower them to have everything that they need to succeed, I can just send them a Miro board link. So that's without Miro and Miro AI or Miro AI features, but with the wave of AI, I think everybody's on the same board that we all want to make AI work for us and not get left behind. So I've been taking up vibe coding as a way to get some of my solo projects off the ground, and with that, I've challenged myself to automate as much of the product lifecycle development process as possible using the tools that I already have in my tool belt, like Miro. So today, I'm really excited to walk you guys through a flow that I built to help get a lot of value out of the tools that I've already been using to improve the Math Mission app, which is a homegrown app built by yours truly, used to tutor my second grade nephew in math. So, because this is all done by yours truly and Claude Code, every iteration really has a cost, and that cost now is tokens. And the exact process that I wanted to avoid, that I'm sure we're all familiar with, is what you guys see here, which is you collect feedback on an app or on your product, you do the work in really understanding the user's or the customer's problem, and then you hand that off to your designer, or maybe it's yourself using a tool like Figma to remock that feedback, and then that gets handed off to an engineer. They don't end up seeing the context or the original user problems, and what ends up happening is they built something that missed the mark. The original user problem and intent did not get carried through into the actual implementation. Now, when you're working with a team, that misalignment can cost days or even weeks to get straightened out, and when it's just you by yourself, your cost is tokens, potentially hitting the limit before you're even able to ship what you actually wanted to ship. So what I built was a workflow that helps you condense all of those really concrete steps into something powered by the help of our trusty AI tools and features. So the end goal of this workflow, and after you collect feedback, is to actually get to that point where you're ready to hand something off to an engineer or to Claude Code. So on the left here, you see some pretty concrete steps that involves a lot of tool switching, a lot of handoff between you and some members of your team, or maybe it's just by yourself. And then on the right here is an optimized workflow, again, using Miro AI's features, has really little setup and only takes a couple of minutes to run. So you went from a bunch of handoff and tool switching and a bunch of people that takes maybe hours or even days to something that you can run every time in just a few minutes. So I'm going to demonstrate that to you guys today. So I thought that it would be a really fun activity to run this flow live with you guys and actually get your guys' input in helping improve this Math Mission app. So, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you guys to help give me some feedback in the form of sticky notes, and then by the end of this demo, we're going to have a ready to implement version of this prototype that I can just put into Claude Code. And hey, by the end of the day, I could even have another version of this app up and running. So, I'm going to share this on the screen with you guys. If you guys weren't already aware of some new Engage features by Miro, there's this feature here where you can scan this QR code and write some sticky note feedback, and it will actually populate directly onto the screen here. So on the right, you have this math mission app. This is essentially where you're able to upload a graded assignment and have all of the incorrect answers from your second grade math assessment pulled out to regenerate a new one. So would love to hear any of your guys' feedback on, hey, maybe move this button to the top of the screen, or that number doesn't make sense there, or change the color because I hate this theme. There you go, light mode right there. Awesome. Yeah, keep them coming. I'll zoom in here really quick, and then in a moment I am going to just take those sticky notes that are on the left here and then put them into the workflow, and we can regenerate this prototype together. Cool. Poor readability. Let me just go for it. All right. I see a lot of feedback here. Thanks, guys. Cool. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and manually put some of these sticky notes on to the right here. We're gonna do this live. Let's see, I'm gonna pick out 5. Too dark. I love it. Poor readability. Large fonts. Would love a quick explanation of what the tool does. Awesome. We're gonna copy those over, paste them on the screenshot here. This is kind of similar to maybe how you would run a workshop on getting feedback from your users. You just have a screenshot and those users are able to just, directly put that on the screen. So cool. I'm gonna go ahead and run the next step of this flow. And what you're about to see here is probably the most important. Let me go ahead and enlarge this. It's probably the most important step, which this entire workflow is built around, and that is your human input. So the core decision that you have to make as the human running this workflow is actually deciding what to build or what feedback to implement on your prototype. So there's this column here on the right that's going to generate that essentially acts as a toggle where you can toggle on which sticky notes you actually want to implement on the prototype. And what AI is really good at doing is taking a lot of different types of formats of information and synthesizing that into a format of your choosing. So you can kind of see here, you have all the sticky notes that we selected on the left in this table, such as emojis, making the colors lighter, increasing the font size, adding explainability. So in this toggle column right here, I'm going to decide to run all of these features into the prototype except for, let's see, which one am I going to pick out to not implement? We'll just leave it as the explanation header. So in this next step, I'm going to run it, and I want to validate that all of the pieces of feedback were implemented except for adding the explanation header. So let's take a look. Should take a couple of seconds. Something that I also want to call out as we're waiting. Something that I found as a tip for using AI features, especially Miro AI features, is sometimes if you want to do a lot of things in one step, sometimes you have to break it down. So something that I prepared outside of this session was to make just a direct copy of that screenshot in a clickable format. So this is just a regular image. This is just a clickable format of that screenshot where you can move things around. And this unloads or removes some of the load on this step to actually implement that feedback as well as make it clickable. So as you can see here, this is our final prototype. We can see that there is a lot more lighter colors, less dark colors. There's no explainability or explanation at the top like we had directed in the previous step. And there's a new slew of emojis that have gotten onto the canvas. So super cool. This is something that I would go ahead and just hand off to an engineer or drop directly into Claude Code. and have Cloud Code ship that next version. So cool. I'm gonna go back to the slides to close us out. So now that we've seen a lot of the really powerful capabilities that really not that much setup in Miro AI can help you achieve, I wanted to leave you guys with some principles and some tips as you guys are building your own workflows, whether it's in Miro or any AI of your choosing. The first principle is letting AI do what it's already good at. AI is really good at synthesizing a lot of information, and why would you guys do that manual effort? Leave the heavy lifting to the AI. This is a must in every workflow that you build. The second principle is trying to centralize as much of your workflow as possible into as little tools as possible. I know that's a little controversial because now we see all these new AI tools and AI features pop up every single day, every which way. It's hard to keep up with. But the goal the ideal state is to have as little tools in your tool belt as possible to achieve the same goal. So how I went and did that with this previous flow is something that I would usually do in Figma, like create a mockup. I did that in Miro. That's one less license that I have to pay for. One less handoff that I have to make. The third step, or the third principle here, is actually something that is not super applicable, or is not only applicable to Miro, but is applicable to any AI tool that you use. Find its strength and leverage that in whatever workflow you put out. So for Miro, spatial reasoning and visual context is one of Miro's strong suits. So use that as a starting point and build your flow around it. The last principle here is the most important one. This is the human input piece. All of the flows should be built around your human input. At the end of the day, Miro and any other AI tool that you use is supposed to work around you, not replace you. So ask yourself with anything that you're building, where is human input necessary, and make sure that doesn't get left out. So awesome. Yeah, thank you guys for joining me today. It's been a ton of fun. Here's a link to my Miroverse profile. If you guys want to check out any of these templates, I'll be posting the exact canvas that we used today on my Miroverse. And you can find me on LinkedIn or find me at this conference. I had a ton of fun with you guys. Thanks so much.